Hello and welcome to the Mysteries of the Burrows. Please cozy up and get ready for the mystery of the servant's theft. I am Ted Stonewall, and these are my adventures.
The mill wheel stood still. Water flowed beneath it, waiting, but the sluice gate was closed. I'd finished the morning grinding early, Widow Thatcher's small order barely worth firing up the stones, and now I sat in the mill office updating the ledger. 32 sacks of grain in storage. I counted them every morning, every evening. The numbers never lied. They balanced or they didn't. And the scratch of my pen on paper kept rhythm with the water outside. Income from the Thatcher job, 8 copper pennies. Outgoing for stone maintenance, 12 copper pennies. The mill was bleeding money slowly, the way it always did between harvest seasons. Father would have comments about that when he checked the books tonight. Movement outside caught my eye. Through the mill window, I saw a figure approaching on the lane. Female, well-dressed, moving with the careful steps of someone who didn't want to be seen. She kept glancing over her shoulder, checking for observers. As wealthy borough folk didn't come to the mill. They sent servants for their flour, had it delivered, kept their distance from the noise and dust and labor of the place. When they came themselves, it meant they needed something they couldn't get from their own kind. Their discretion, the kind that didn't gossip at dinner parties. And the woman reached the mill door and hesitated. I could see her through the window. Middle-aged, iron-gray hair pinned beneath a respectable bonnet, dress expensive but not ostentatious. She knocked, tentative, like she might change her mind. And I opened the door.
Mr. Stonewall, I'm told you help people with problems, discreetly.
Depends on the problem.
May I come in?
When I stepped aside. The mill office was small, desk, 2 chairs, shelves of ledgers. The smell of wheat dust hung in the air, that familiar scent of grain and stone and honest work. She looked around, and something in her face relaxed. Good. A cramped office with no windows facing the lane suited her purposes.
I'm Prudence Ashbrook. My husband is Edmund Ashbrook. We live at Ashbrook Manor, on the east side of the Burrows.
I knew the house. Respectable, well-maintained, the kind of place that suggested comfortable means without shouting wealth. The Ashbrooks were wealthy merchants trying to establish themselves as gentry, barely a generation of money behind them, but they carried themselves like their bloodline stretched back centuries.
What's the problem, Mrs. Ashbrook?
And she pulled her shawl tighter.
We've had a theft. Silverware. 6 pieces, serving spoons, a ladle, a cake server. They've been in my husband's family for 4 generations. The family crest is engraved on each piece.
When did you notice them missing?
3 days ago. I went to polish them for a dinner party we're hosting next week, and the cabinet was empty. Someone took them.
Who has access to the cabinet?
It's kept locked. 3 keys exist. Mine, my husband's, and one in the kitchen for the maid's use when she polishes the silver.
The maid.
Mrs. Ashbrook's hands twisted in her lap.
Daisy Thornbury. We hired her 3 months ago. She came with adequate references, seemed honest enough. But she's the only one besides family with regular access. And she's new to the household.
You think she took them?
I don't know what to think. That's why I'm here. We need proof before making accusations. I'm not the sort of woman who ruins a young person's reputation without evidence.
I studied her face. The worry was real, but it wasn't worry about the silverware. It was worry about what people would say. A theft in her household, accusations, gossip.
What do you want me to do?
Investigate. Quietly. Find out if Daisy took the silver, and if so, where she's hidden it or sold it.
She reached into her bag and withdrew a purse.
We can pay. 40 silver pennies. Half now, half when you've found the truth.
The 40 silver pennies, more than the mill would earn in a month.
I'll need to examine the cabinet, interview the household, look at the evidence.
Of course. Come this afternoon. My husband will be home, and he'll want to speak with you.
But she stood, adjusting her shawl.
And Mr. Stonewall, this must remain private.
I understand.
And she pressed 20 silver pennies into my hand.
This afternoon, then. The servants' entrance, if you don't mind. Less noticeable.
Then I watched her leave, hurrying back down the lane with her head lowered. Ashbrook Manor sat on the eastern edge of the Burrows, where the lanes grew quieter and the homes grew larger. 2 stories, whitewashed walls, a garden that had been carefully tended to look effortless. And I went to the servants' entrance as instructed, a narrow door set into the side of the building, half hidden by climbing roses. Before I could knock, I caught my reflection in the window glass. Flour dust on my collar, a smudge of it on my sleeve. I brushed at it uselessly. The dust had worked itself into the fabric, marking me as clearly as a brand. The door opened. A young woman in servant's dress looked at me with the practiced blankness of someone who'd learned not to show what she thought.
Mr. Stonewall, Mrs. Ashbrook said to expect you. This way.
And she led me through a cramped hallway, low ceilings, plain walls, and into the main house. The contrast hit me like stepping from shadow into sunlight. Polished floors, good furniture, paintings on the walls. The air smelled of beeswax and flowers, nothing like the honest grain smell of the mill. And there, standing in the parlor doorway, was Edmund Ashbrook. He was a soft-faced man in his 50s, well-fed, with the kind of hands that had never known calluses. His eyes swept over me, the flour dust, the working clothes, the rough hands, and I watched him file me away in whatever category he kept for tradespeople.
Ah, the miller. He said it the way you'd say the plumber or the chimney sweep. Someone who fixed problems but needn't be invited to dinner. Prudence tells me you're discreet. I certainly hope so. This is a delicate matter.
I understand, Mr. Ashbrook.
Do you? He gestured vaguely toward the interior of the house. We've worked hard to establish our position in this valley. We cannot have scandal attached to the Ashbrook name. Whatever you find, I trust you'll handle it appropriately.
But I wasn't sure what appropriately meant. I suspected I'd find out. Oh, Mrs. Ashbrook appeared behind her husband.
Shall I show Mr. Stonewall the silver cabinet, dear?
Yes, yes. Get on with it. Edmund Ashbrook turned away, already dismissing me. I'll be in my study. Call me when you've finished poking about.
And the dining room was formal, uncomfortable. A long table dominated the space, surrounded by chairs that looked rarely used. Against the far wall stood a mahogany cabinet with glass doors, and I approached it slowly, examining without touching. The lock was a simple mechanism. No scratches around the keyhole, no signs of forced entry. Whoever had opened it had used a key.
May I look at the cabinet?
Of course.
And I opened it carefully. The interior was lined with faded velvet, indentations showing where pieces had once rested. 6 empty spots. Everything else, plates, cups, decorative items, remained in place.
Only the 6 pieces were taken?
Yes, the most valuable items.
I wondered what made one piece more valuable than another. I crouched down, examining the floor. A small scratch caught my eye. Recent, maybe 4 inches long, like something heavy had been dragged. The angle suggested someone taller than average. Near the cabinet, I caught a faint smell. Pipeweed. Not cheap stuff. Something rich, expensive.
Does anyone in your household smoke?
Mrs. Ashbrook frowned.
My son occasionally. Why?
Just noting details. The keys. You mentioned 3 exist.
So she showed me hers, worn on a chain. Her husband's was in his study desk, unlocked, accessible to anyone who knew where to look. The 3rd hung on a hook in the kitchen in plain sight. It 3 keys, 3 ways into a cabinet anyone could have accessed.
I'd like to speak with the maid, alone.
Daisy Thornbury entered the kitchen with the careful steps of someone walking toward a cliff's edge. Oh, she was young, early 20s at most, with the kind of face that showed every emotion. Right now, it showed fear. Her hands were clasped in front of her, knuckles white.
Sit down, Miss Thornbury.
She sat at the kitchen table, back straight, hands still clasped. Her dress was plain but clean. Her hands were calloused from work, nails trimmed short and scrubbed. I noticed a small scar on her right thumb. A cooking burn, maybe, or a mishap with a needle. Working hands. The hands of someone who'd spent her life serving others.
Hey, and you know why I'm here?
Yes, sir, the silver.
Tell me about the last time you polished it.
She took a breath.
5 days ago. Thursday. I took the pieces from the cabinet around mid-morning, brought them here, polished them. Took maybe 2 hours. Then I returned them and locked the cabinet.
All 6 pieces?
Yes, sir. I counted them. I always count.
Did you notice anything unusual?
No, sir. Everything was as it should be.
Has anyone asked you about the silver before the theft?
No, sir.
Do you have debts, Miss Thornbury?
Her chin lifted. The first hint of defiance.
No, sir. I live within my wages. What I don't need goes to my mother in Thornbury. She has the lung sickness. The medicine is expensive, but I manage.
Where do you go on your half-day off?
To visit her. Same as always. The neighbours see me arrive. The apothecary knows me by name.
She met my eyes now.
I didn't take the silver, sir. 3 months I've worked here. Never taken so much as a crust of bread that wasn't offered.
I believed her. Not because of her words, but because of how she said them. The fear in her face wasn't the fear of being caught. It was the fear of being wrongly accused. I'd seen both.
Is there anything else you can tell me? Anything unusual in the household?
She hesitated. Something flickered across her face.
Miss Thornbury?
It's probably nothing. She twisted her hands. But Master Cyrus, the Ashbrook son, he's been acting strange lately, nervous, goes out at odd hours, and he's been asking about money. I heard him arguing with Mr. Ashbrook last week.
When did these arguments start?
A few weeks ago, around the time small things started going missing. A candlestick from the guest room, a decorative box from the parlour. Her voice dropped. I didn't say anything, wasn't my place. And I was afraid if things went missing, I'd be blamed.
Where is Master Cyrus now?
And away, visiting friends, Mrs. Ashbrook said. He left the day before the silver went missing.
I sat back. A son with money troubles, small items vanishing, arguments about funds, a convenient absence.
Thank you, Miss Thornbury.
And she looked at me with something like hope.
You believe me?
I believe I need to learn more.
Now the hope faded. She nodded and stood.
Mr. Stonewall?
And she paused at the door.
If I lose this position, if they dismiss me without a reference, my mother depends on me. The medicine, the rent, without this job.
She didn't finish. She didn't need to.
I'll find the truth. That's what I'm paid for.
It wasn't comfortable, but it was honest. Stolen silverware has limited destinations. You can melt it down, but that requires equipment most borough folk don't have. You can sell it to collectors, but distinctive pieces with family crests are hard to move legitimately. Or you can pawn it to someone who doesn't ask questions. In the Burrows, that someone was Silas Merkwater. His home sat on the eastern edge of town, where respectable lanes gave way to muddy paths and suspicious looks. The round door was painted a faded blue, the brass knocker tarnished. I knocked twice. At footsteps inside, the door opened a crack.
Oh, it's Stonewall, what do you want?
Information.
We're fresh out.
Then we could discuss that letter business, the one where certain documents pass through your hands. Constable Thornhill might be interested.
Well, the door opened wider. Silas Merkwater was all sharp angles and nervous energy. His eyes never stayed still.
What, inside? Quick!
In the interior was cluttered with objects of dubious origin, candlesticks, jewellery, decorative items. The smell was different from anywhere else in the Burrows, old metal, dust, and something sour underneath. A smell that said things come here to disappear. Silas led me to a back room and shut the door.
What do you want to know?
Silverware, 6 pieces, serving utensils, family crest last week.
And he went very still.
What about it?
Who brought it?
Why should I tell you?
Because I'm asking nicely, and because if I have to ask not nicely, we'll both regret it.
And he considered this. I watched the calculations behind his eyes.
Someone's already been asking. Yesterday. Well-dressed borough folk. Nervous type. Wanted to know if I still had the pieces.
Who?
On didn't give a name.
But he matched the description of the one who pawned them in the first place. Silas shrugged.
Oh, young male. Soft hands. Expensive pipeweed smell. Didn't haggle. Just took what I offered and practically ran.
When did he pawn them?
What, 6 days ago?
The day before Mrs. Ashbrook discovered the theft. The day Cyrus Ashbrook left to visit friends.
Do you still have any pieces?
Silas's face closed up.
Oh, that would be telling.
Silas!
Fine.
But he moved to a locked chest, produced a key, and opened it. Inside, wrapped in cloth, lay 2 serving spoons. Silver, polished, engraved with a crest I recognized.
I need to take these.
Absolutely not.
They're stolen goods. You know it. If Constable Thornhill finds out you're holding stolen property...
He glared but handed them over.
You'll owe me.
We're even now.
And I wrapped the spoons and tucked them in my coat. Evidence, something solid.
Or one more thing. The young borough folk who came asking yesterday, did he say where he was staying?
I said at the door. Silas smiled unpleasantly.
The Crossed Keys, nearby water. Paying in silver, I hear. Wonder where he got it.
I left without answering. And the picture was complete. The son, not the servant. Now I just had to deliver the truth to parents who didn't want to hear it. I returned to Ashbrook Manor the next morning. This time I went to the front door. Mrs. Ashbrook's face cycled through surprise, annoyance, and forced composure when she saw me.
Mr. Stonewall, I didn't expect you so early.
I have findings to present. Is Mr. Ashbrook available?
He's in his study.
She led me to the parlor. The same uncomfortable chairs, the same faded rug, the same air of carefully maintained respectability. I was aware again of the flour dust on my clothes, the roughness of my hands against the polished surfaces. Edmund Ashbrook entered a few minutes later, looking irritated at being summoned.
Well, what have you found? Is it the girl?
No.
The single word hung in the air.
The silverware was not taken by your maid. It was pawned 6 days ago to a dealer in stolen goods. The person who pawned it was described as a young male, well-dressed, soft hands, smelled of expensive pipeweed.
And I let that settle.
The description matches your son, Cyrus.
Edmund Ashbrook's face went the color of old cheese. Mrs. Ashbrook gripped the arm of her chair.
I also confirmed that Cyrus is not visiting friends in Greendale. He's staying at an inn near Bywater, keeping to himself, paying with silver.
I pulled the wrapped bundle from my coat and set it on the table, unwrapped it. 2 silver spoons gleamed in the morning light, the Ashbrook crest clearly visible.
And these were recovered from the dealer. 4 more pieces have already been sold. I looked at them. Your son took the silver to pay debts, gambling debts most likely.
His silence. Edmund Ashbrook loosened his collar. His hand shook as it moved to the sideboard, poured a glass of something amber. He drank it in one swallow.
You're certain?
And the evidence is clear. The maid had no motive, no opportunity to pawn the goods, and doesn't match any description. Your son had motive, opportunity, and matches exactly.
And I waited. I delivered the truth. Or Edmund Ashbrook set down his glass with a sharp click. When he turned to face me, something had shifted in his expression. The shock was gone, replaced by calculation.
Mr. Stonewall.
His voice was steadier now.
You've done what we asked, found the truth, and we appreciate your discretion.
What about the maid?
What about her?
She's innocent, I've just proven it.
My Edmund exchanged a look with his wife. Some silent communication passed between them.
The household has been disrupted.
Her voice had gone flat, controlled.
Trust has been broken. We'll provide Daisy with a month's wages and a neutral reference, but she cannot remain in our employ.
She didn't do anything.
It doesn't matter.
Edmund Ashbrook moved to stand beside his wife. A united front.
Everyone will talk. A theft, an investigation, accusations. Even if we clear her publicly, people will whisper. Our household will always be the one where the maid was suspected.
While your son goes unpunished.
Edmund's jaw tightened.
We cannot have a scandal, Mr. Stonewall. We've worked hard to establish our position in this valley. We employ people. We contribute to the community. A scandal doesn't just hurt us. It hurts everyone who depends on us.
And he said it like he believed it. Maybe he did.
Cyrus will be dealt with privately. He'll go to relatives in Greendale, get straightened out. There's no need for this to become public.
She reached into her pocket and withdrew a purse. Not hesitating, not negotiating, just the smooth motion of completing a transaction.
Your payment, as agreed.
20 silver pennies, the second half. She placed them on the table with a soft click, precise and final. I looked at the coins, at the spoons with their family crest, at the Ashbrooks standing together, waiting for me to take the money and leave. My hand moved before my conscience could catch up. The coins were heavy.
You've been very helpful, discreet. We appreciate that.
And the words were a dismissal. I'd served my purpose, fixed the leak. Now I could go back to my mill and my flour dust, while they went back to their polished floors and their carefully maintained respectability. I pocketed the coins.
I'll see myself out.
I was halfway down the lane when I heard the servant's door open. Something made me stop, turn, watch. Daisy Thornberry emerged carrying a small bundle wrapped in cloth. Everything she owned fit in one arm's worth of fabric. Behind her, Mrs. Ashbrook stood in the doorway, speaking words I couldn't hear. Daisy nodded. Once, twice. Her face was carefully blank, the expression of someone who refused to cry in front of her former employer. Mrs. Ashbrook handed her an envelope, the month's wages. Daisy took it, tucked it into her bundle, and turned to leave. She walked past me on the lane. Our eyes met. She knew. I could see it. She knew I'd proven her innocent, and it hadn't mattered.
Miss Thornberry.
She kept walking. Head high, back straight, bundle clutched against her chest. I watched until she reached the end of the lane and turned toward the Thornberry Road. 40 silver pennies in my pocket. Good money. And Daisy Thornberry was walking home with nothing but a neutral reference and a ruined future. I didn't go back to the mill. Not yet. The lane wound toward the old mill pond, a place I'd gone as a child when I needed to think. The water there was still, not flowing like the mill race, but quiet. You could see your face in it if you wanted to. I sat on the bank and pulled out the coins, counted them, 40 pieces of silver clinking against each other. I'd done my job, found the truth. But the truth hadn't saved Daisy Thornberry. It had just given the Ashbrooks permission to do what they'd already decided. They hadn't hired me to find answers. They'd hired me to confirm that dismissing Daisy was justified, and when the truth turned out to be inconvenient, they'd dismissed her anyway. They'd wanted permission, and I'd given it to them, for 40 silver pennies. I thought about keeping the money. The mill needed repairs. The winter would be hard. Daisy was already dismissed. The money wouldn't change that. The justification sat in my mind for maybe 10 seconds before it curdled. I stood up. I found Daisy on the Thornberry Road, about a mile outside the Burrows. She was walking slowly, like each step cost something she couldn't afford.
Miss Thornberry.
She stopped, turned. Her face was still carefully blank, but I could see the cracks underneath.
Mr. Stonewall.
I held out the purse, all 40 silver pennies.
This is yours.
She stared at it, at me.
I don't understand.
Payment for the investigation. You earned it more than I did.
I can't take your wages, sir. You did the work.
On the work meant nothing.
On the words came out rough.
I proved you innocent, and you still lost your position. I should have done more. Should have refused to leave until they kept you on. Threatened to tell everyone the truth. I didn't.
And that wouldn't have changed anything.
Maybe not, but I didn't try.
I thrust the purse toward her.
This is what I can do now.
And she looked at the purse for a long moment, then at me.
You didn't fail me, sir. You found the truth. That's more than most would have done.
And the truth didn't help you.
Maybe not.
Well, she hesitated, then took the purse, reluctantly.
But I'll know. For the rest of my life, I'll know I didn't do it. And someone else knows too.
And the coins disappeared into her bundle.
I'll pay this back when I can.
Don't.
And she looked at me.
You're a strange one, Mr. Stonewall.
I tried to walk away clean, couldn't make it stick.
Something shifted in her expression. Not quite a smile, she was too exhausted for that, but something like understanding.
Thank you for the truth and for this.
She touched the bundle where the purse was hidden.
It'll help with Mother's medicine.
I nodded. There was nothing else to say. She turned and continued down the road. I watched until she was out of sight. 40 silver pennies. Not justice, not even close. But it was something. The mill was quiet when I returned. Water flowed past the wheel. The sluice gate closed, the grinding stones silent. My father sat at the office desk, checking figures. He looked up when I entered, his face showing nothing. Same as always.
Finished your business?
Yes.
Paid?
I thought about the 40 silver pennies I'd given away. About Father's inevitable lecture on wasting time when the mill needed work. About how he'd never understand why I'd returned the money.
No.
His face didn't change, just cold assessment.
Wasted time, then.
There he returned to his ledger. The conversation was over. I went to the storage room and counted grain sacks. 32, same as always. The Ashbrooks were in their comfortable home right now, telling themselves they'd handled things properly. Cyrus would face a stern lecture, maybe lose his allowance. The family reputation would survive. And Daisy Thornberry was walking to Thornberry with 40 silver pennies and a ruined future, paying the price for a crime she didn't commit. I'd been hired to find the truth. What they'd wanted was permission. I was learning how the Burrows really worked. Learning what truth meant to people who could afford to ignore it. Learning what justice meant when your name was the only currency that mattered. Next time I'd know better. Know what I was really being paid for. Next time I'd have my eyes open. The water kept flowing. The mill sat quiet. 32 sacks of grain in storage, same as always. Some things, at least, you could count on. 3 months later, I saw Daisy Thornberry at the Burrowtown market. She was buying vegetables, inspecting each one with the careful attention of someone who couldn't afford waste. She looked thinner, harder somehow. Our eyes met across the stall. She nodded. Once. I nodded back. She finished her purchases and walked away into the crowd. She'd written once, said the money had helped with her mother's medicine, said she didn't blame me. She was wrong about the blame. But I appreciated her saying it. I finished my shopping and walked back to the mill. The water was flowing high and the wheel would turn well today. 32 sacks of grain in storage, the ledger balanced. Father had checked it twice. I was learning what my silence was worth.
Thank you for listening to the Mysteries of the Burrows. If you have enjoyed my story, please give a like and subscribe, and joining us next time for the case of the missing inheritance.